Clay Patton on the Rural Radio Network with a Check Your Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report for the week ending January the 28th. Thank you to Moline Seed and Fence. They're the proud sponsor of the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Moline Seed and Fence is your local dealer for Riviera custom gates, goat, and sheep pens, along with Mountain View sheep and goat equipment. You can check it all out and see their products when you visit MolineSeedandFence.com. That's MolineSeedandFence.com. And if you want to hear from Kerry Moline firsthand about the products he uses for his own operation and that he sells to his customers, check out his interview here on the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Go back just a few episodes to the beginning of January. Now let's get back to the report. For the week ending January 28th, the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report was steady with some lower undertones across all classes of sheep and goats. Southern Sales did note that the lighter weight slaughter lambs and goats saw a slight increase in several instances. This appears to be an ethnic-driven market with a few holidays in the coming months. More traditional slaughter stock that would go into more of a commercial-type supply chain seems to have less demand. The concerns of consumers having to make some tough decisions at the grocery store is slowly coming to light. The PCE price index data out on Friday showed that consumers are trying to spend less money while putting back more in their savings, and that's has mounting concern, and it's all coming with mounting concerns from the U.S. economy. With other staple items such as eggs seeing a strong price increase in the early half of 2023, the meat counter may be seeing more penny pinching than we originally thought. That limits the upside potential for the seasonal bullishness of our small ruminant market right now, and it also leaves a little bit of a looming cliff as we start to see it soften out as we get back down towards late spring and early summer months. Out this week, the American Lamb Board released their fiscal year 2022 annual report. It showed, as expected, that American lamb faced some pretty stiff headwinds from the economic downturn and recessionary concerns, along with inflation, as well as they suffered from labor conditions in the U.S. and tough, tight labor supply in general, as well as global competition or imports in 2022. The American Lamb Board, though, is remaining optimistic for 2023, and they noted they have three key areas to focus on this year, including marketing, growing consumer demand for American lamb, research, education, innovation, optimizing and prioritizing research and education efforts to improve product quality and consistency while increasing productivity and growing the year-round supply of American lamb, as well as expanding awareness, understanding, engagement, and involvement of stakeholders in the American Lamb Checkoff. Now, if you are looking for ethnic holidays to market on, here are a few that are the upcoming. Ramadan month of fasting is set March 22nd to April 20th, Passover's April 5th, and Roman Easter's April 9th, with Orthodox Easter up April 16th. A few of the highlighted quotes coming out this week will go to Centennial Livestock in Colorado. They sold 57 head of hair lambs weighing 75 pounds for $1.93. That's $145 a head average. Upper end of this draft, though, brought $207.50 a pound. That is $155 a head. Slaughter ewes were very popular at Centennial. On the bulk, 58 head weighing 205 pounds brought 91 cents. That's $187 a head. Though they list these ewes as slaughter ewes. There was a single draft. There was two head of them. They weighed 210 pounds. They brought $346 a head. So while they called them slaughter ewes, you have to wonder, giving that much money for them, did they go ahead and actually return back into the breeding herd? Because that's a pretty strong price. Couldn't really find anything else to match that. At Centennial, the heavy goat wethers were still popular. 18 head weighing 114 pounds brought $229 a hundredweight, or about $262 a head. The upper end of the draft bringing $241 a hundredweight, or $275 a head. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock sold 267 head of 125-pound slaughter wool lambs for $130 a hundredweight, or $162.50 a head. Sioux Falls also sold 51 head of 1 to 2-year-old replacement ewes for a $261 a head average. Upper end of the replacement ewes brought $275 a head. Producers Livestock in San Angelo sold 57 head of 46-pound hair feeder lambs for $270 a hundredweight, or $124 a head. Producers Livestock also sold 27 head of 66-pound feeder wool lambs for $248 a hundredweight, or $164 a head. And lightweight goats in Texas, they saw those trends back towards 2022. Producers sold 45 head of 43-pound feeder goats for a $418 average, or $180 a head. The upper end of the draft bringing $430 a hundredweight, or $185 a head. This week, though, unfortunately, did not see any reporting out from Colby Livestock, Kelowna, Iowa, or Columbus Sales Pavilion, some of the other sales we try to follow here. So unfortunately, didn't quite get as big a data pool as we usually do. Hopefully, these sales will be reporting in the future weeks. USDA retail meat data for the week ending January January 20th showed the lamb retail activity index up sharply. Feature rate was up 5.3% and the special rate was up 3.9%. Lamb cuts reportedly sharply higher and veal cuts were 11.11% lower. For the week, roast and chop ads were both sharply higher. Lamb feature ad had more space for shoulder blade chops, shoulder bone chops, rack rib chops, boneless leg, ground lamb, and stew, meat, and mutton. Of course, with colder weather across much of the high plains, roasting type items seem to be pretty popular right now, so hopefully that's getting a little bit more roasting type lamb. Those legs pushed through the market as well. For the livestock feeder, grain markets were lower early on in the week. South American production still looks to be strong as rains helped crops in Argentina. A brief break towards the end of the week helped the Argentinians also get the rest of the corn and soybeans planted, so it looks like they do have it all in the ground. Now, if they can continue to catch timely rains to make the crops a big issue. Soybean harvest is off to a very sluggish pace in Brazil, especially that main state of Mato Grosso, but it's generally expected the crop will come out in plenty of time, and early indications are the harvest is above trendline yields. With that being said, Brazil's not getting into the beans to port very fast because China and unknown destinations purchased well over 1 million metric tons of soybeans last week. A lower U.S. dollar is finally helping to increase export demand for U.S. grain. Corn is slightly behind on USDA's export expectations, and soybeans are on track to meet USDA expectations. Thursday, the grain complex really did turn, though, higher on global supply coming into question. Reuters broke a story that USDA noted at an international grain conference in France that Russia was in an infeasible position to raise more than 100 million metric tons of grain. That put USDA's estimates of 92 million metric tons into clearer view. Meanwhile, Ukraine officials also at the conference said they may have to trim an additional 1 to 7 million metric tons of grain production due to the war continuing to interrupt farmers. These global supply concerns were then amplified by India, who started purchasing more wheat to try and stave off food inflation in their country. So that really helped to bring things back higher. The thing is, on Friday, the market did calm a lot of these fears and bring it back just a little bit lower. So it doesn't look like we'll have a runaway topside market, but there is still plenty of concern that if things line up right, we could see a sharp reversal in this grain complex as well. And that has livestock feeders going, do we go ahead and try to hedge at current prices that makes margin thin, or do we try and ride it out and take that potential if things were to dry out in South America, the harvest doesn't come in, the U.S. has sluggish planting issues here in a couple months, do we see that market turn higher? Meanwhile, hay markets in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, South Dakota, Colorado, and Wyoming were reported mostly steady again this week. The heavy snow that moved through parts of the high plains last week, though, made crop residue and even winter pasture grazing pretty tough, and that's forcing ranchers to move into feeding hay maybe sooner than some had expected to do so. So it's also helping to increase the actual deals coming together when it comes to hay. With hay supplies tight, if more hay starts to move, that could lead to prices increasing. But right now, looks like the higher prices have definitely tried to thin demand out, and we maybe have kind of peaked in that upper price range. Premium alfalfa this week ranging $265 to $325 a ton. Small square grass and alfalfa appeared to range from $9 to $15 a bale. Lamb slaughter this week, 33,000 head through Saturday, up 1,000 from last week, up 4,000 from a year ago. Year-to-date lamb slaughters, 130,000 head, or about 4.5%, or 6,000 head more than the previous year's lamb slaughter. Live lamb weights were at 125 pounds. That's an increase of 1 pound from last week, still down 4 pounds from last year. Dressed lamb weights on the rail, 63 pounds, unchanged from last week, and an increase of 2 pounds from last year. On the regional price report, 20 to 40 pound wool lambs, not enough for an applicable trade. 40 to 70 pounds, $110 to $260 a hundredweight. 70 pounds and up, $110 to $260 a hundredweight. On the hair lambs, 20 to 40 pounds, $250 to $325 a hundredweight. 40 to 70 pound hair lambs, $190 to $330 a hundredweight. 70 pounds and up, $130 to $245 a hundredweight. Wool ewes on the stocker side, $250 to $350 a head. Slaughter ewes, $20 to $165 a hundredweight. Slaughter rams, $57 to $115 a hundredweight. On the hair ewes, replacement quality, $135 to $240 a head. Slaughter ewes at $40 to $130 a head. Hair rams, $110 to $180 a hundredweight. Kid goats, 20 to 40 pounds, $250 to $430 a hundredweight. 40 to 70 pounders, $190 to $380 a hundredweight. 70 pounds and up, $200 to $280 a hundredweight. On the wethers, 70 pounds and up, $225 to $280 a hundredweight. On the does, slaughter does, medium to fleshy, $130 to $250 a head. Replacement quality does, $140 to $285 a head. And on the bucks, on the slaughter side, $110 to $260 a hundredweight. Not enough applicable trades for a trend in the breeding bucks. And that's a look here to your Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Thanks for listening at RuralRadioNetwork.com or on Spotify or wherever you're listening to the report. We appreciate you taking the time, and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next week.